Yes, the Predators are back, and I for one welcome our new Yautja overlords. Here's a question though, is there an actual reason these guys keep turning up on Earth, or do they just really hate us? If the Predator movies have taught us anything, it's that the universe is practically bursting with life. You've got the Yautja, Xenomorphs, humans, that's us, and at least a few other alien races given the skulls we see on the spaceship in Predator 2. Yet the Yautja seem to keep coming back for us humans time and time again. Why? Well, for one thing, we put up a pretty good fight.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
You see, predators are called predators, but the truth is they're not technically predators. What I mean is that they don't hunt to eat their prey, instead they kill them for sport. The Yautja love the thrill of the chase, and humans offer good enough sport to keep them on their toes. We see this in the first Predator movie. When the monster stalks Dutch's crew in the jungle, before attacking them, the Predator studies their movements, taking time to understand what they're capable of before taking them out one by one.
There's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man.
In the end, human ingenuity proves to be the Predator's undoing. Dutch covers himself in mud to cloak himself from the Predator's thermal vision before taking it down with a trap. Clearly a human wouldn't be able to take on a Yautja in hand-to-hand combat, but our craftiness and intelligence gives us a huge advantage in battle, and that's probably an appealing challenge for a Yautja on the up and up. Predator may be the first movie in the franchise, but it doesn't depict the first time the Yautja came to Earth. In fact, they appear to have been hunting humans for at least a millennia. Prey, for example, takes place in 18th century America, while the kick-ass Predator Killer of Killers shows predators visiting Earth at various points throughout history. This isn't just an excuse to show off some cool visuals either. It also gives us a better idea as to why the Yautja keep coming back to Earth. In short, there's always a new challenge to face. The Predator seen in Prey goes up against humans who use fairly rudimentary weapons. The French fur trappers have Brown Bess muskets, while Naru wields little more than a few axes and a bow and arrow. But if human beings are good at anything, it's figuring out new ways to kill each other. And any Yautja keeping an eye on Earth will be well aware of this. Swords one century, muskets, machine guns after that, and who knows what'll be next. With every new weapon or piece of technology developed by humanity, the challenge shifts, forcing the predators to develop new strategies in order to hunt us down. It's a dynamic, ever-changing battlefield, one that must keep even seasoned Yautja coming back over and over. There's another side to all this too. The Yautja in Prey doesn't have nearly as many high-tech gadgets as the ones we see in the other Predator movies, suggesting that their species may be developing technology at a comparable rate with humanity. If that's true, that gives them another reason for coming to Earth to hunt. They might just want to see who's got the better tech. One thing you might notice in every Predator movie is that the Yautja always fight their enemies with appropriate force. They're not just killing people who sit at home on the couch like some kind of hacky serial killer. Get it? Hacky? That was terrible, and I apologize. No, the Predators prefer to go up against Earth's battle-hardened warriors, and they only tend to fight humans who actually fight back. If they wanted to, they could snipe all of their victims with ease, but the Yautja prefer an honorable, dignified style of combat. In Prey, for instance, one predator battles a bear with its hands alone, forgoing any weapons at all. Oh yeah, that was awesome. Obviously, most humans tend to be craftier even than bears, and we can probably assume that we're also craftier than most of the alien species that the predators have locked horns with, as they choose to keep coming back to hunt us. And why not? Humans are clearly dangerous enough to make the Yautja bring their A-game. In the first Predator, the Predator has to use wrist blades, a spear gun, explosives, and a plasma caster to take down Dutch's soldiers. When you think of it that way, hunting humans might be the most fun these guys have ever had. It's probably not unfair to say that the Alien vs. Predator movie sucked, and for a lot of reasons. But for one thing, they seem to suggest that xenomorphs have been on Earth for a long time, which is kind of at odds with, well, the entire point of the actual Alien movies.
Bring back life form. Priority 1. All other priorities rescinded.
But hey, whatever. If we're to assume these films are canon, they at least give us another reason why the Predators show up on Earth so regularly. Alien vs. Predator establishes that the Yautja undergo a rite of passage once a century, in which they sacrifice humans to the xenomorphs living within the planet's depths. The Predators then hunt the xenomorphs since they're considered to be the perfect organisms, what with all that acid blood and penchant for killing things. In fact, we can probably assume that a xenomorph skull is among the most valuable things a predator can have on their mantle. Alien vs. Predator also gives us a glimpse into the Yautja attitude towards non-Yautja warriors. When a spaceship arrives to pick up the fallen at the end of the movie, one of the Yautja gives final girl Lex a spear as a sign of appreciation for her bravery. Predators aren't mindless killing machines. Yes, they use humans in order to prove their own might, but when one of those humans proves that they're mighty too, that demands at least a little respect. Fans will probably disagree over whether the Predator Homeworld comic book series is canon to the Predator franchise, but for the sake of argument, let's assume that it is. In issue number 3, Maya is able to follow a predator on Earth to observe its behavior. She witnesses it digging up a root and eating it, prompting her to wonder how it knew where to find a food source, and that it was edible in the first place. Maya hypothesizes that the Yautja might have actually originated on Earth, meaning that their hunts there are actually a form of pilgrimage. Now, it's completely possible that Maya's theory is way off the mark, but if we take it at face value, then it could mean that humans and predators share a common ancestor. Perhaps the Yautja left Earth at some point and established their own colony elsewhere. That would explain why humans and Yautja share similar attributes, like how we're both bipedal and proficient with tools and weapons, although it doesn't really explain the mandibles.
You one ugly mother.
Anyway, this theory implies that predators are drawn to Earth simply because it's where their evolutionary line began. To some, it may be a pilgrimage, and to others, it could be a kind of vacation, as they just want to see where their ancestors came from. Their need to fight and kill humans might even have something to do with the Yautja proving themselves against their evolutionary cousins. Of course, this is all conjecture, and conjecture based on one character's theory in a potentially non-canon comic book, but that doesn't mean it's not neat. Since predators have mastered interplanetary travel, it's safe to say they're able to visit far more worlds than just ours. That doesn't mean they necessarily want to, though. We've seen glimpses of the Predator homeworld Yautja Prime in both the comics and in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and it looks like it's set to appear in Predator Badlands too. Now, between those 3 suns and the planet's desert landscape, it's probably safe to assume Yautja Prime gets very hot, which means predators might only be able to thrive on planets that are warm at the very least. As it happens, the Predator films tend to see the Yautja visit Earth's warmest regions. Predator takes place in a hot, humid jungle, and Predator 2 takes place in Los Angeles during a heat wave. Granted, Aliens vs. Predator takes the Yautja to Antarctica, so they're clearly able to stand cold weather for at least some period of time, but it's unlikely they prefer it. And again, those Aliens vs. Predator movies suck, for a lot of reasons. No matter where they are though, the Yautja seem to be able to tolerate Earth's climate with relative ease, making it the perfect place for them to go a-huntin'. To put it kindly, 2018's The Predator was a bad idea turned into an even worse movie, and one of its worst offenses was the way it portrayed autism. The movie presents autism spectrum disorder as the next stage of human evolution, a theory that is neither scientifically accurate nor particularly helpful when it comes to neurodivergent representation in movies. That said, it does shed more light on the Yautja obsession with planet Earth. In the film, a predator comes to Earth to kidnap an autistic boy named Rory. It's believed that they're doing this in order to blend their DNA with Rory's, hybridizing themselves and therefore taking their own species to the next level.
The next step in the evolutionary chain. Not you, your son.
So yeah, that's another reason why the predators keep coming back to Earth. They want our autism? Let's just move on. Basically, every Predator movie ends with a human defeating at least one predator. So you might be forgiven for wondering why they haven't decided Earth just isn't worth visiting anymore. That logic doesn't really track though. After all, if they've been coming to Earth for centuries, there are undoubtedly countless Yautja who have arrived, hunted, killed, and flown away with their trophies. We only see the stories in which the humans win because that's what makes for a good story. As well as that, Yautja culture holds a different view of death than ours. To die during a hunt is no shame for a predator. The 1994 novel Aliens vs. Predator Prey introduces the concept of the Black Warrior, the Yautja manifestation of death and their greatest adversary of all. The Black Warrior is said to guide slain Yautja to the afterlife, making death a hugely significant and almost desirable outcome for predators. In that sense, coming to Earth is a win-win situation for the Yautja. Either they win the trophies they seek, or they meet a noble end in battle. They're certainly not going to be put off just because Dutch murked that one guy in the 1980s. Although the Predator movies give us plenty of reasons why these aliens always show up on Earth, you should never underestimate the power of headcanon. In a post on Reddit, one user points out how the Yautja really shouldn't have any issue taking down humans. After all, they've mastered interstellar travel and clearly have superior technology to us, so killing humans should be a breeze, right? Yet we've seen multiple instances now in which humans handily beat the Predators, and this Redditor argues that there's a good excuse for this. They wrote, "Many of the arguments that the Predator films are unrealistic can be resolved if we consider Earth to be one of the places where the aliens send their worst cadets/students for a last chance attempt to make the grade." It's pretty fun to think that Dutch, Naru, and all the other humans who've taken down a Predator were basically fighting for their lives against Yautja Prime's biggest losers. And if this theory holds water, it makes the universe all the more terrifying too, because it means that there are stronger, cleverer, and more experienced predators out there. What happens when they get tired of humans racking up so many wins against their kind and come to Earth to settle the score? Nothing good, that's for sure.